Second item on the agenda is open of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 3 is delegations. Mr. Arbogast, you're up. Mr. Lloyd Arbogast.
Okay, all y'all know me except I just met the superintendent. The rest of you know who I am, Lloyd Arbogast. I was here, I think it was 2 months ago. I mentioned about the possibility of having the 10 Commandments put up. Let me say this to start with. I believe that every one of y'all care for our kids. You want what's best for them, but we look at things a little different sometimes. But and I realize you got all kind of rulers, right? But there's a couple things that's happened since the last time this year, which brought me back. One was that in God we trust, which I understand it's mandated by the government, right? It's there. So people can't say that you can't have any display of anything religious, because right there it is. If ever somebody say you can't do that. I also talked to Board of Education in Charleston, and they said there wasn't anything that prohibited having the 10 Commandments up. Of course, they said there might be legal matters. I always bring that up. But they said that, I also thought that since it says in God we trust, that is a step. Because I don't think, I won't say nobody, but I would say the majority of Pocahontas County thinks it would be fine to have the 10 Commandments up. And they would like to see it for their kids. And I think it's a plus, because I think without any moral standards, we're missing something in the education program. And in America, as a lot of you historians know, for the first 200 years of our country, it wasn't a question. We had God in the schools, we had God there till about 50 years ago. And you all know what happened then about that time, the 60s. But before that, they had preaching in the Capitol, they had preaching in the schools, they had prayers. Our first president said, I don't see how you could govern this country without God. So there was, in about 1850, there was the Supreme Court, there was a case brought to them. A school wanted to be a private school, and they said, can we have a school without the Bible in it? Now, did you hear that right? They said, can we have a school without it? That was in 1850. So in other words, up until then, it was understood it was there. And they, at that time, ruled that no, you cannot have a school without the Bible in it. We are a Judeo-Christian nation. Not everybody agrees with it, but they agreed on that as a foundation. And I won't window all that, but also talk to Jeff Campbell. And to make it clear, and you all probably know that, but now you know how you get rumors out and they're not always true on Facebook. The legislature, that bill that come up 2525 back in February to mandate the 10 Commandments, it did not pass. But it wasn't voted down. It was never voted on. You see, I looked, and the first thing I seen is they said, no, you can't do it. That's not what it was, if you check it out. They just debated for a while, and like a whole lot of other things they do, they never voted on it. So it was just dropped by lack of a motion on it. And so there's no mandate for it, but it's nothing that prohibits it, as I understand. I think it could only help having some moral guidelines for students. I think it's an opportunity, and hey, they can look at it and they can ask you, what's this mean? Just like they can ask, what do you mean in God we trust? They can say, what's it mean you can't steal, or don't lie, or don't cheat? that can't really, as far as, and you all probably agree, that can't hurt anybody, even if they don't believe. And I've heard the argument, well, they shouldn't have to look at it. My kids oughtn't have to see that. Well, they're looking at some right now. That's religious, right? In God we trust. I mean, there it is. That's something to think about. And I do not believe that the minority ought to lead. I think the majority should lead. Doesn't say you won't have any resistance. And I heard mentioned that, you'd spoke to your lawyer, was this common sense? But and that probably is, if you don't have a lawyer that's on your payroll or on call, they're not gonna say anything that might cause them any more work. Is that not true? If you've already got a contract with them, of course, they're not gonna add anything that they think might cause something else. Okay, so I'm asking for y'all to consider it again. Because I know you got a lot of things going on in your school now and changes coming up. I asked you to consider, also Jeff said that only thing that had to happen truly, and that don't say, excuse me, don't say what'll happen after that, but all it takes for it to go up is for the Board of Education to rule to put it up. Now, I won't guarantee what happened after that, but you all say it puts it up, you can put it up just like you put your warrior signs up and the other pictures and everything else. So that's mainly what I had. You all have heard that before. I asked you to seriously consider it again. And if you want to see it, a friend of mine got these two things for the Ten Commandments. I'll leave them with you to look at. But here's one of them. And it's been suggested that sometimes the wording in it isn't as clear for little ones. And if you want all that here or there, I'll leave these with you.
If you can just give it to Holly.
Okay.
Thank you.
And here's another one. It's for the lower ones. It reads quite different. You wouldn't have to have the same thing at every school. And there's all kinds of different versions, I'm sure, and things on it. So I'll leave them for you to look at. And you have any questions? That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Arbogast.
Well, I might just mention, I read in the paper, I've mentioned two things you've said that I really like. You're working hard to get things back in line, I understand. One of them is you said, people ought to be able to get out of high school to do math and figure their finances out.
Yes.
That's a huge plus. I like that. And the next thing is cursive writing.
Yes.
You said you'd like to have them graduate being able to cursive write. Those are good things for it, I'm concerned.
Well, thank you.
Positive things. So, you all hang in there. We're together. I'm just saying this because I care, and I think it would actually be a plus. One of them signs would look good right under that one. And other questions? That's it.
Well, we're not allowed to.
I understand that.
We're not allowed to. Recognition,
We haven't.
you have some recognition?
We do not. We will have everybody on the next agenda for recognition. It'll be a long meeting.
Okay, item number 5 is school improvement updates, mission statements and goals. Dr. Williams is A, B is LSIC data presentation, Martin Elementary School Principal Anderson and team. Flip the other part of it. C is 21st Century Community Learning Center grant presentation, Stephanie Burns and Christy Hammond. D, update spatial education progress to meeting compliance indicators. E, update on Pocahontas County High School state of emergency progress. F is update on attendance and progress. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, sir.
Mr. Gibson seconded. All those in favor? Aye. But let's open it up and see what we got.
So I'm going to start off with the mission and the core beliefs of Pocahontas County Schools. I think it's really important that each time we have a meeting, we focus in on our mission statement and what we want to accomplish, what we believe for all of our staff and what we believe for all of our students. Pocahontas County Schools strives to provide an engaging and supportive learning environment where every student is valued, empowered, and equipped to reach their full potential. Our core beliefs: all staff will engage in a team and growth mindset. All staff will promote and model positive behaviors and dialogue. All staff will create a safe and supportive learning environment. All staff will establish high expectations for academic excellence. The student version of that we are connecting to student learning is all students can develop a team and growth mindset. All students can display positive behaviors and constructive dialogue. All students can contribute to a safe and supportive learning environment. And all students can meet high expectations for academic excellence and reach their full potential. It is our motto and slogan this year that we are stronger together. So working together and teamwork is the core of where we are going as a county.
I like it. It's nice. Anything else?
Nope, Mr. Anderson.
You done good, Mr. Anderson? You and your team's up.
I'm going to present as Dr. Williams has talked to us about the LSIC meeting. And I do have a few things for you as we want to go over things that she wanted me to, or required us to, go over, which I think was really good because it's actually got us on track of looking at things and just, it's a lot of times we know what to do, but if we're not talking about it and we're not revisiting it, we're not doing it. So, and I feel that that's really a good thing that Dr. Williams has brought to us. And so I'm really excited to be here tonight to share this with you. Some of the things that is going on at Marlington Elementary School and some of the things that we're doing and the areas that make our school function. So the first thing is that I'll talk to you about is our attendance. One thing that we're looking at with our attendance, and there's several things that we've been doing. So I'm going to pass out this with the community and schools. I've been working with them, and they have been making these building healthy routines at the heart of learning with community and schools, and their newsletters every month. And I don't think that I have enough copies for everybody. Students are getting these. And this was September's edition. I think I'll just share one with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then also October's, which looks a lot the same, but there are some different things about talking about our attendance facts in Pocahontas County, quick tips for parents, why routine matters, and things that, you know, just to try to help with things that we are needing to focus on for attendance. That's a big thing this year that is on our radar to improve. So that you'll see that we have an attendance tracker. Just talking about with school, like they get different types of add a collar or a sticker to the box, and just even like stickers each day is whenever the kids see that is amazing that how proud that they are of getting those things. You can look through that and ask me if any questions for the attendance. There's other things though that I would like to tell you about with our attendance. Our attendance has 3 tiers, and I know that they're a tiered system, and I've been working. I know Mrs. Schiff, or I'm sorry, Mrs. Dunlap, we've been talking, and she has been really good. She's sent me back about 4 times to say, no, you need to redo this and this need to, to do this wording, and I'm still not sure that I've got it quite right. But that's okay because the business teacher in her she wants us to be right there and have it the way that is easy to read and makes sense. So I like that. But the three tiers with the system, basically the first tier is, you know, rewarding the students with different types of things that we have for good attendance and coming through, and you know, having them you know, whether it's a movie or whether it's the recess or whether it's just recognizing them with morning announcements, you know, things that go on that. So then if that's, you know, tier two are students that, well, whenever they miss 3 days or have 5 days letters, then we have 3-day and a 5-day letter. And then after that, we go to a SAT meeting with personalized goal setting. So we get the student and the family in to talk about, you know, that. We'll do daily call homes with the students. Students will be offered social worker, things of that. So we'll look at that. And talking with the parent and giving them guidance on how to improve student attendance. Then if that doesn't work, we'll go to the 10-day, the tier 3, and these are students that are at risk, okay, of the 10-day. And actually that's an assistant meeting, like it could be an MTD meeting, referral for a hearing, or a referral to other services as well. So like youth health services and things of that nature to, you know, to see where we're at to get the kid in school. So those are the tiers for the attendance things that we're doing. I'm also going to share you a little bit of data of our school, personal data, like where we're at with attendance and what we're doing and how we're tracking that in just a minute. So, while I'm doing that, I also want to share with you that we are at, right now, the chronic absences is what we're focusing on. So the chronic absences is 2 days missed a month or more, what could be chronic absence. So with that being said, those are the kids that we're actually really focused on. And this West Virginia Department of Education, this is not all to be used, but this is a good baseline data. And I think I've shared this with you guys before, but our chronic absenteeism right now is 15.8%. Last year it was 25%. Dr. Williams has asked us to decrease that by 10%. And right now we're there. But we just have to focus on keeping it there. And hopefully we even make that less by these steps that we're taking with the tiers and talking with Mrs. Dunlop with ways that we're focusing more, not letting these students be chronically absent. So if we look at it a little deeper, which is a pretty cool way to dig into it. So if I go to looking at the chronic absences, so this is an interesting second. The graph that will show us the load. It's trying.
It's free.
Okay, while that's loading, I don't want to sit here and waste your guys' time, which I don't feel I am, but I want to move on to, the next thing, discipline. So the discipline in our school, which I feel like we have been focused on as well, more so with different avenues of looking at ways to approach discipline and things that we are doing and how to make it better for our our PBIS system. So our school has a PBIS system, and that is our baseline for our discipline. With that being said, discipline is tracked through WEBIS through different levels. You have a level 1, 2, 3, and 4, which whenever a child has something that they do, in that, and it's written up by the teacher or the principal, and it's a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and depending on what they've done. And then within that, there's an intervention that is to be done, whether, always a call home to a parent, whether it's from the teacher, the principal, to discuss what has happened. And then we look at our hierarchy, which some things that we have, for instance, what level it is, depending on where it's at. It could be a detention. It could be that we are in school suspension. Could be that we just have talked to the student to give them, this is your warning. Or it could also be, out of school suspension, depending on what the level it is and how, how many times it's happened, things, level 2, 3, and 4 offenses. So those things are looked at and decided upon, myself, but we do have a protocol for that. With attendance, we also navigating it. Dr. Williams did that with us, like when the student does something wrong, we look at, determine the level of infraction for that discipline. We also have to take in mind, does that student have an IEP or a 504? And then if they do, then it goes into a different category than if the student does not have a 504 or IEP, meaning we look at, it goes down a different tier of direction. And I went over that with the staff and looking at ways to develop and keep. The thing is Dr. Williams and is really wanting us to, and I think it's a good thing, is to make sure that we are looking at this data and that we are documenting it and having a good documentation of it. So that's something that we are working on. Okay, so I'm kind of jumping back and forth because this now is when we go back to the absences, and you can see that for chronic absences, okay, so this is where we're at, the 15% that needs attention. So I can click on those and find out the students that we need to focus on, which is really nice. The grades with the most chronically absent students, it breaks it down pretty nice. So you can see right now it's 3rd grade. So going to the 3rd grade teachers and say, okay, what's going on here? We need to look at that. Okay, it's actually broken down within the grade mile. Which I find it's very, useful to have these graphs kind of put it in perspective. Looking at the most chronically absent students, the years here, from past years to this year, we've been up to, which we know after COVID, it was a huge chronically absent. A lot of things happened there. 22, 23, that was one of the years after COVID, 36%, which was huge. So we went down the year and then we went back up last year a little bit more so than I would have liked for sure. And that's just too much to have 29% that's chronically absent. So we need to really focus on seeing what the root cause is to that to bring that down. And I feel that, now that we're really looking at it and digging into it, that will improve.
Go back up to the third grade, that. At 32%, that's something.
But we've only been in school for a month, so I've looked at a lot of these students and I've talked to the parents and we've looked at it. So September,
How many
That's two-
third graders do you have?
there's 30, let's see, 18, 36, 37, so quite a few. The thing though, September is a month of vacation with parents. And there were several kids in third grade that went on vacations with their parents. And if they did that, then they were going to be chronically absent because all they had to do is miss 2 days in September. Okay. And then there were some sicknesses when people come back to school and get together. There are sicknesses a lot of times that we have. So, I mean, you take all those things in, too. So, we have to, whenever those things happen, even though that they went on vacation or they're sick, they're not at school, they're still chronically absent if they miss those days. That just is, they're not there, then, they've missed. So that's one thing to keep in mind too, but we do want to keep in contact with those parents to see what's going on and how we can get them to school. And we try to put a positive light on it to, to make them not feel like, it's because we know that, there's a lot of avenues now where if, they can, look at other options, and we don't want that. We want them in school. We want them to be in the best place possible to there to educate. So. Going back to, the discipline. So I can go back and look at a little bit of our discipline here. So far this year, we've had 30 discipline incidents put into the WEBA system to track it. And we go down here and this will show us like the severity of the level and what it is here, like whether it's a battery against student, threat of injury, harassment, larceny, so forth and so on. So this will give you the totals of where we've been at from years past and years of this year. So looking at last year, for instance, we had 152. This year so far, we've had about 30. We've had 30 write-ups in the system. And that could be anywhere from a disruptive conduct to inappropriate language to disruptive, disrespectful conduct. A lot of these are disrespectful, disruptive conduct. But I feel that we've done a better job this year in looking at the overall picture of this, where we'll see this go down eventually. And I think this year we'll have it go down even some. But this is the thing. If we're documenting it and we're having things documented, then that's good. And I think the documentation is good, even when a child is doing something that is, like, well, maybe we shouldn't document it. And I'm telling my staff, like, yes, do document it. Please document it, because that gives us, it's not the end of the world to document it. It's actually good to do that. And, we might have a whole lot more write-ups, but they're documented and it's addressing the problem more so than not. So looking at that, the discipline is, it's an ongoing thing that we're looking at. So, and then the third thing that I've seen questions so far about that you have with the discipline or the attendance so far that I've talked to you about.
This is fascinating data. I think it's good. Good to see this.
And the last thing that I was asked to talk to you about, which is really exciting to talk to you about, and it has been from the past years that I've talk to you about our school, and I'd like to toot our horn a little bit with our teachers and our students is our performance. So our performance, again, I feel that we are moving in the right directions to meet standards in our district and also from our school. So, I mean, looking at our school for sure, for last year, third grade, okay, in the math, we were at 45% and the state was 52%. So we were a little bit below the state, but we were not too far below the state, a little bit, 7%. Looking at fourth grade math, we were actually, we have some really smart fourth graders. This was last year's data because it was this assessment that was given at the end of the year. We were at 60% in the school and the state was 50%. So we had 60% and that was awesome. In the fifth grade math, we were right there with the state, which we were 41 and the state was 42. So we were, we're right on track to be at the proficiency of where the state is saying this is what the state is and this is what you all are at. Obviously, I'd like to be above the state, and we have been in the past years, it's in the last couple of years. Last year, I feel like, there was things that, we could have done better because we had a lot of kids, and I'm gonna talk to you in a little bit about that. We're focusing on this year. I feel like Dr. Williams again, and I appreciate that, brought us in as a group to really focus on these students that I'm going to tell you about. Before I do that, the third grade ELA, we were at 48% with the school, and then 44% with the state. The fourth grade was 66%, okay, with the school, and the state was 50%. So we were 16% above the school in fourth grade in ELA, which was really good. In the fifth grade, the ELA, 44 or 43% school, and the state was 49%. And I also found this interesting that in the fifth grade, they test on science. And our school was at 43% with the state only being 33%. So we were 10% higher than the state in science. So that's good. So this year we were brought in as a team, the principals, Dr. Williams had us in here at a principals meeting, and she had us all our data. And this is the first year that I've done this, and I do really appreciate that because there was a lot of learning that we took those students and we categorized them by what they call the bubble students. And these bubble students were a lot of students that were in our grade in my school that were either 10 points above the cut score or 10 points below the cut score. So those are the students that you can move up to the cut score and above for meet standards to focus on. That's where you really see the gains and getting your scores up. And I think that's and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that this was just a first learning curve for me to do this, and it was fascinating to do that, to find our bubble students. So once we found these bubble students, we went back to the school. I gave them to the teachers. I gave them to the Title I teacher, the community and schools teacher. Say, these are the students that we want to focus on, all of our students, but these students we want to give a little bit extra care to because, they're right there. They're ready to meet these standards, and we want to make sure that we're not, we want to get them, just check on them. Of course, we want to do that with all of our students, but the bubble students are ones that we want to adopt to get them to the next level. And I do think that that'll make a difference this year. And so being able to share those and look at those, to identify those was really a good or a really good thing that we did. So that was with looking at our performance data. As you can see here, our state assessment proficiency, it's going up, okay, overall, for most of us. And this is fifth grade. This is only looking at fifth grade. in the last few years. But, our scores have been holding pretty strong. We just like to see them grow more and get to where we're at, and I think that we're focusing more on data this year. And that comes from the top down. So I really appreciate that. And I think the teachers do that. They do an amazing job with that. So looking at the K through 2 set or K through 3 students though. Okay, so we do have a new bill that you guys may or may not be aware of, the Third Grade Success Act. And that act is something that I've been working with Stephanie with. Stephanie Burns has been really involved in this bill to help our school. And it is basically looking at these students we test them and we do 3 benchmarks. Okay, so and it's already testing. So these I-rating testings are given at the beginning of the school year, the middle of the school year, and the end of the school year. And this is for all of our students, by the way. But for the K2 or K3 students, we do this specifically I-ready testing. And whenever they have a benchmark that they need to make or a score that they have to hit. Now, if they don't hit that score, then we have to look at them and figure out why they didn't and help them with interventions and do things that help them to get to that score the next time. Because by the 3rd grade, then we really have to have reasons why if that kid did not meet those scores that we've done all the interventions and we've done our job proving that we did everything we could help to these students that and these students are not ones that, if they have, there's a lot of things in that bill though. So it's just not cut and dry. Just one, there's a lot of things that with special needs students and with other things that we have that, we have to look at. But it also helps us focus on kids that are at risk that could be there, kind of like the bubble students, I kind of feel like. And then what we're doing, and Mrs. Burns has suggested this, and we kind of met the other day about this, is we're going to have a folder or a binder for each classroom that's for these students, that if they do not make the cut score on those students or on that test, then we're going to build them a portfolio and say, this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it with interventions, Title I, teachers, getting on board to focus on these students to make sure that we're, not missing something, that we're not missing them so they can achieve as well. And it's a good thing. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be good to, if we can keep up with all of it, which we're working on it because it's a new thing and thank goodness for Mrs. Burns that helped us direct in that too. So that's where we're at with looking at our data with the assessments and with our school, our snapshot. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I got some questions. I got all kinds of questions.
Okay.
So thank you for your academic update. It's important and it's good for people to know that. Let's get to the building. What the orange fence is up out back.
Mhm.
Are you happy with that around?
Well, I mean, it's a temporary thing.
It's a
but
temporary thing.
Okay, so, and then I was really excited to share this with you and I did because this is taking up a lot of time. I know, and the board meeting, I don't want it to go on forever, but we do, since you brought this up and asked. Okay, we do have as far as I know now, it hasn't happened. I haven't seen in writing yet, but I've seen some emails exchanged that we have someone that's very interested in helping us fix our playground to be new courts, new shade, just a whole new facelift. And we have a donor what it is it's through Lucy Massesso is involved with this, which I really appreciate that. And she's they've picked Marlington Elementary School as one of the 3 spots where the gentleman wants to build it up, but he wants I want to call it's not racquetball. What is it? Pickleball.
Pickleball.
So he wants these pickleball courts, but he also is going to make it really nice. And pickleball is a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Good sport for old people.
Grandpa King.
so. I mean, he's going to, help us with that. And it's probably not going to happen overnight, but it seems like it's going to be a good transformation with everything. And we're going, like, we've raised some money to help with that, to put into pavilion, which that's where, whenever I started that from, I said it was going to go. So we will, put it towards that. And I think there's the PTO, has a lot to do with the playgrounds along with that extra fund that we have. So we'll be able to, help with some of the funding that we see that, that he's going to do like, a lot of it sounds like, or most of it, but we'll have things to even put some bells and whistles that maybe not that we didn't have before. So exciting things are happening,
Well,
are going to.
that's great. I know it, but it's,
Long time coming.
we should probably, that fence, we should probably maybe consider that as one of our next summer's to-do projects. That's a big deal, that safety
I
fence.
think Mr. Gibson is working on the safety.
Yeah,
fence.
okay.
If I understand correctly,
Yeah.
we talked with Mr. Anderson and, the orange fence is up now, the
Yeah.
orange fence, mesh fencing. But there was some buildings that we wanted to relocate up there, I believe.
Correct.
And then we have looked at the type of fence that's around the
Dairyland.
Dairyland.
Yes.
I don't know the names, but we're gonna put something maybe like that up. So Mr. Gibson and I have talked about that. We haven't touched base a little bit about it, so I'll have to check with him, but that is on our radar.
It's a thing.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else got any questions for Mr. Anderson?
Appreciate you coming, sure.
So I want to say something about, the presentations that the principals will be giving. Local School Improvement Council is a data-driven organization that's meant to improve schools. So one of the things that I've asked all the principals to do is present their data to their councils and discuss ways in which we can improve the areas that we need to and celebrate the areas that we're already doing great in. And I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson had to go first, but
It's okay.
just like students, when they learn a new skill, it's important that they get up and articulate that skill and talk about it, because the more we talk about it, the more we focus on it, and the better our students' performance will go. So thank you, Mr. Anderson. You did a great
Yes, sir.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Item number C on the agenda is Century Community Learning Center grant presentation. That is Miss Stephanie Burns and Miss Christy Hammond. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. He worked with me for like 15 years. Yeah.
Talk about this, but here's just for reference, if anybody would like to look at it. It's so thick, we didn't want to make.
Here you go, Mr. Gibson. I know you like this type of thing. You can have this.
I read all this stuff.
I know you do.
I mean, I gotta do it every morning. Or
You're more ambitious than I am.
That's why I gave him the copy.
Huh?
I said, that's why I gave him the copy.
Yeah, that's like it's- If it ain't on my phone, I don't read it. It's-
You can sit wherever you want.
Oh, the little thing speaker is-
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Stephanie and I are here with fantastic news, and we can't wait to talk to you guys about this. So we have a presentation to you about the 21st Century Community Learning Centers grant that we received for this school year. So we want to talk to you about this grant and let you know the great opportunities that are coming for our students with this. So first thing, I want to sort of throw out there is you guys probably want to know why the tech person is standing here talking to you about this. I got invited to help with writing this grant last year. I was honored to help. And, so I know a lot about the grant. I've been helping Stephanie with the communications aspect. And, but Stephanie has shouldered a lot of this, in this process. So that's why I'm here tonight, is to help out and to tell you the things that I know about the grant as they are. So in spring 2025, you guys will remember that we came here and we took a survey and we presented those results to you guys. And one of the key questions on this survey, and I want to thank Stephanie for, this was completely her design, this question was, we said to families, we said, how can our school system support you? And families had a whole bunch of options to pick from. And these are the top 5 options that they picked from. This is what they told us they needed from us to make their students better students, right?
It is an option.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing the top.
Yep. So we're focusing in on we picked the top 5. And so the things that they want are support checking students' grades in the Weavis parent portal, better access to after school programs, stronger communication from school to parents, assistant interpreting grade level standards and expectations, and after school tutoring for students.
Have the perfect answer to that. This opportunity will be able to address all 5 of those areas.
So to start off with, what is a 21st century grant? What is the program focused on? The 21st Century Learning Centers, it supports student academic success, offers enriching activities, and involves families in education. So a lot of it is academic help. It supports tutoring for students to meet academic standards. It offers a lot of enrichment activities like arts, STEMs, health programs, family engagement. It encourages family involvement to strengthen learning and community. So like I said, in May 2025, we sat down and we said, we are going to shoot for the moon with this grant. We're going to try to get the money. And so we spent a great deal of time fine tuning this grant application to try and get money. So we asked for $250,000 over a 5-year period for middle and high school students to receive after school programming. And we were awarded the full amount in 2025. Yeah. So the first thing that you're going to want to probably ask us is why just middle and high school students? We got an extra points awarded to us for focusing on secondary students. So we said, we want the maximum amount of points. We want to win this grant. So, we focused on things that we felt like would give us the best opportunity to bring money to our students. So we wrote the grant, we wrote it for middle and high school students, and a lot of what they want you to focus on is not just tutoring. Now we need a lot of social emotional learning for our students after COVID. There was a big adjustment for our kids coming back to school, readjusting to those social emotional settings. So we wrote that into the grant, and we also got extra points for just being Pocahontas County. So we got some points there. So with Learning Beyond the Bell, we basically had to create a program overview. And because this is sort of Stephanie's forte, I'm going to let Stephanie talk about, what our goals are and how we intend to meet those.
So we addressed 2 major goals, which were academic achievement and increased family engagement. And you can see on the PowerPoint, the areas that we focused on: academic achievement, math, literacy, targeting tutoring, focusing on STEM, preparing older students for taking the SAT, benchmarks, report cards related to whatever data is we are receiving based on those students. We also wanted to focus on their confidence. And so we are going to do a quick check every day, kind of monitor their self-esteem, their confidence in what they are doing. And our goal is to improve that and put in pieces and support to help support them become confident young people.
Yeah.
And increase family engagement. So we listed some of the activities and the list is endless, really. We want to be able to provide FAFSA workshops in the evening, parent-teacher conferences if needed in the evening, career and college nights, family game nights, team parties, culinary workshops, you name it. If anybody has a talent that are willing to share with us, we will help support it through this after-school program.
So, one of the first things I'll point out is we have a logo. This is a program of its own that we got funding for. This is, of course, through Pocahontas County Schools, but it is its own beast. So we'll talk later about the sort of staffing and sites that we're going to work on. But Learning Beyond the Bell is its own program. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a budget summary. When we first started talking about, we've received this grant, and what are we gonna do? We got on a conference call with, among others, Dr. Williams. And we talked about how we have $250,000 to use over 5 years. And so we figured we had 50 grand a year for after-school tutoring at 3 sites, which is great. That's not, we've never had that kind of money before. We were super excited, right? Then we talked to the state. And the state says that's not right. You have $250,000 a year for 5 years. Now, the catch is the first 3 years we can be funded in full. And then
Right.
70 to 80% of that over the last 2 years. So I'll still take 70% of $250,000 for our kids. So we took our original budget and we said, all right, let's make this our dream program. Stephanie said on one of our conference calls, and I love it. She says, we shot for the moon and we got the universe. So we're talking to staff. We're thinking about how do we build this program to just really bring it home for our kids. So one of the first things we said is we want to increase the number of staff at each site. We originally planned 1 staff member at that $50,000 a year budget. Now we can do at least 2 to 3 at those sites, depending on your student interest. We said, let's make sure that they are quality interested staff. So we're going to pay them $30 an hour. All right. Then our next goal was we pay our site coordinators well. We want to pay them $35 an hour. So they're going to have a little bit of extra responsibility, but they're going to be paid well for doing that. We're going to expand the program to elementary at Greenbank because they're a combined school. We'll be able to do that. So we're very excited to bring programming to that elementary school. We want.
Sponsor to come down and possibly guide those teachers or guide those future teachers into tutoring the students. So we are brainstorming some ways of how we can support the other 2 elementary schools.
And this is federal money. So you guys know we jump through a lot of hoops for federal money. A lot of these things that we want to do, we also have to make 100% sure that we're doing kosher things. There are very specific guidelines in this grant of things that you can and cannot spend money for. For instance, we will be offering a substantial snack to the kids during this program so that nobody's hangry while they're trying to learn, right? But we can't buy food. Isn't that strange? We can do this through our nutrition program. We can provide a snack, which we'll work with Ms. Dunlap for, but we can't buy extra food for this. So there's lots of things we can and can't do with the money, and we're still working a lot of that out. This is a brand new program for us. Another option that we have is to add transportation options. So we are going to use activity buses for these after school programs so kids can get home. But the question is, can we add another activity bus? Can we run south to north? Can we capture those snowshoe kids? Can we capture those kids that just need to arrive back to Marlton? So we're hoping to do that. We want to, equip the sites with some high quality technology resources, 3D printers, poster printers, STEM robots, tablets. And one of my favorites is provide field trips and college visit opportunities. I know when I was a kid, if you would have told me on Saturday, we're going to visit a college, if you said we're going to visit a college and go to a football game, I might be interested in that. So we want to provide a lot of those opportunities. One thing I want to point out is a lot of grants you have to provide a match for. We don't have to provide a match for this. We have to provide some in-kind services, like the use of our buildings. But in general, this is not costing us a lot of money. Program operations, I'll let Stephanie talk about that part.
There's still, as she said, with federal grants, there are certain stipulations and things you have to jump through. So there are certain requirements at our sites. I'm currently working on all the documentation for that. After school schedule, the students will be there approximately 2.5 hours. We'll be paying the staff 3 hours because by the time they make sure their transportation is safe, whether it's parents picking them up or whether it's riding the bus, it's going to be 3 hours after school for the staff and 2.5 hours for the students. It's 4 days a week, and our goal is 29 weeks annually, where the students the minimum requirement is 250 hours, but if we are able to consistently provide this after school opportunity, it's going to be over 290 hours for the students.
So in addition to those other things, we're also working on establishing a student referral system. We want all students to be welcome. So it doesn't matter if you know your special education, you have an IEP, we want to make sure that you come. We give you the supports that you need. We want to prioritize students that have D's, F's, or academic gaps. So you'll be able to refer a student to us. The site coordinator or the program director will make sure that they reach out and sort of try and get that kid involved in the program. Activity bus, we sort of already talked about this. In general, it's an in-kind service, but we're hoping to beef that up. And
Can we use this for credit recovery? I
We
mean, is this something that we can, is this something that,
we actually talked a little bit about that because we provided during the summer.
yeah,
But the response we received is that we did not in the grant apply for summer school, which would be during that credit recovery time. But that's something we just need to find out some further information on.
we talked about the snack program. We'll work with Mrs. Dunlap to get that in place so the kids will, make sure that they have a decent snack after school too before they start in this program. Program personnel. So this is what we're asking you guys for tonight. It's on the agenda. The very first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a program director or program coordinator, if you will, for the district. And what they're going to do is they're going to oversee this program where they're expected to spend about 10 hours a week on this program. So it's not a light job. It's not a light lift. So we're going to be looking for somebody for that. Each site is going to have a site coordinator who, one of their main responsibilities is going to be to keep up with those things that we need to monitor for federal programs. Make sure we're taking attendance, make sure we're checking in with our data, to keep up with that. So they'll have a little bit more responsibility, but they're also going to assist with tutors. So we also are going to post multiple tutor positions. And Stephanie can talk a little bit about the idea that we had there with tutors. But what I will say there is all of these folks are going to be certified teachers.
the tutoring section, there is going to be, well, the lesson plan that we have, or the schedule we have created for sample, they will have a period of time of homework help. Then they'll have about 30 minutes of numeracy or math support, 30 minutes of literacy support. Then they will have an opportunity, whether it's a STEM project, so the teachers will be providing that instruction for the students, plus they'll be supporting the lesson plans, just as the site coordinator will be. And we are hoping to have 30 students at each site. And that's why we're hoping that you will agree so we can post the positions, which this grant will be.
Program goals, we already sort of covered this, is, we're looking for academic achievement growth there and confident growth. Family engagement, I can't drive home enough how much we wanted to bring families to schools and give them an opportunity to interact with us, to build relationships. One thing that we talked to Dr. Williams about is we had a leadership academy, we had a teacher academy, why not a parent academy? So we want to bring parents in, and we want to talk about things like House Bill 3035, which is your third grade success act, which is driving a lot of things in elementary right now. We want to talk about technology. How do you check your child or your grandchild's grade, right? Because we have a lot of grand families right now, and they have a learning curve. So we bring you in and we talk about how do you monitor your child's device and make sure that they're being safe online. Lots of things that maybe folks haven't thought about or they haven't learned. We want to set up parent academies so that they can learn these tactics. The other thing is not just learning sessions, but also family fun night sessions. So a family board game night, a family paint party.
Yeah.
A culinary class. These are all things that are within our ability to provide, for sure. Just to go back one thing, I have program hurdles on here because we are so excited about this money. We have so much potential here, but it's always important to say, here are the things that could catch us up, right? Finding staff for the program. So 3 to 6 after school every day is a big ask, right? Not everybody's going to want to do that. If you have a family, that's mealtime, that's homework time. We get that, and so that's why we're posting a lot of positions to have, if we need to divide days up, we can do that. But that can be a hurdle. So, that's number one. The other one is meeting those attendance goals. The expectation is that you meet the goals that you set for attendance. So we said we want 30 kids at each site. So we have to meet those goals. We have to meet a certain percentage. I believe it's 70 or 75. So that's a big deal. We're a small community. So asking for 30 kids at Marlaton Middle, where there's 120 something. That's a big ask, but I will say this to you. When I left Marlaton Middle, who was piloting a communications club for us, which is something that we think can be really successful for all of the schools after school, where the kids can build a newsletter, they can build websites, they can build anything communications related. There were 10 kids in a classroom, excited, engaged, writing a newsletter, reading articles. I mean, if you build it, they will come. And this is just a pilot. We didn't do a lot of, publishing. We just asked, try this out and see how it works. And man, was it working. So if we build it, they will come. We just have to make kids want to come.
You've got to get that word to the parents.
Yeah.
You've
Yep.
got to get it to the parents, because whenever they look at their grades, report cards, and they got a D or they got an F, they got an after-school program that you're going to attend.
Yep.
I know how I was as a parent.
For sure.
Kids
sure.
is not going to, high school kids especially, is not going to stay after school if they got a D. But
Yeah.
if parents get involved,
And there's a huge
they'll stay.
communication aspect to this. even in your application, this 65-page application that we put there, you have to say several times how you're going to communicate. So the first thing that we have done is we've designed a flyer to send home, and we have a startup meeting that's going to happen on October 13th. Parents can come and tell us, how can we get your kids here? How can we get you here? How can we get the interest? So that's our startup meeting. That's when we're going to start pulling parents in. But man, will I hit the social media and website hard? You're going to see a lot about learning beyond the bell. Stephanie and I are just taking off on this. We're learning, but we will grow with it. So the last hurdle we have is, after this money is gone, after 5 years, is sustaining this program, right? But for a lot of grants we get, we usually have for a 1 year, and 5 years is a long time, right? I'm excited. 5 years can make a huge difference. Community engagement. The other part of the grant that we put in there is we want to invite the communities into our schools. So if we invited a local bank to come to the high school and talk about personal finance, to help you set up a checking account. If you're 18, can we help you set up a checking account? My nephew is 18, had no idea how to set up a checking
Aren't we
account.
teaching that in civics?
It's part of the curriculum, yes.
And we probably are, but
It's being integrated.
But
in-
let's say you had a bank come in that said, let's set it up. I have my laptop here. We're going to set you up a checking account. That brings it home, right? We're probably teaching it, but the bank can come in and help make it real, right? So we're bringing in community partners to make things real. We can talk about science all we want, but if we bring in a scientist from the observatory, we're going to make it real. Yeah. So we talked about, Mr. Grimes, you brought up diverse communication. We need to outreach. So you're going to see flyers. We're going to reach out to Allegheny Mountain Radio. We're going to reach out to the paper. We're going to get articles going to get parents aware of what's happening here. And we talked about Parent Academy before. All right. So how can you help us with this? Please vote to fund those positions. Technically, we're not funding those positions. That grant is funding those positions. So that's the first thing you can do for us. Encourage staff. We know you guys, the staff, reach out, you talk to those guys. We need good staff for those positions. We want this program to be a success. We want to see good staff in those positions. Spread the word about the program. You guys hear from the community more than anyone else. So spread the word. We're having a new after-school program. Get your kids there. Encourage parents to come to this meeting. Like I said, tomorrow, things are going to go home with students to get this startup meeting. They're going to get information about the program. We're going to invite them to come on October 13th at 4:30. They're going to give us feedback after we talk about the program. So it's going to be collaborative, stronger together, right? So we're going to build it with the community, with the parents, with the students, so that everybody is invested in this. And then give us your ideas, like Sam, that's a great question. Can we use it for, credit recovery? Can we use it for whatever? Reach out, let us know if you have an idea. We're open to it.
So I guess.
Yeah, you got a talent, you want to hear it.
So the way it'll physically work is the kids will they stay after school, or they go home and come back?
They will stay
Okay,
after
so that's
school.
gonna help a lot.
Yes, and the program times are going to basically run based on the activity bus. So we'll start the activity bus at the high school, and we'll take kids home by the activity bus by those regular routes. And we're hoping to add more, but I can't guarantee you that. We just don't know yet. So that's something we would like to try. Any other questions?
We've talked about having meetings, a couple in the county, probably one around here and one at the high school, with meet your board members. So if the public's got any questions, parents or anybody that can come and ask us, and also our new superintendent, she's not new anymore, but she's new to the county.
Kind of new.
This would be a good time for, whenever we get this set up, this would be a good time for you all to come present this. So
Yes.
hopefully we'll have some parents there.
Yes.
And it's,
And not to stroke your egos, but if I, as a parent, know that I can maybe come and I could chat with a board member about, things in the county and what's going on, that will help us.
Well, we
You
get
know.
questions all the time. Why did you all do this? Well, it's the law.
Mhm,
We got to do this
mhm,
and we got to do it this way. And
Yeah.
a lot of parents don't understand
right.
exactly, as Mrs. Hamilton will tell you, we can only use certain funds for certain things. And it's the same way with this grant.
Yep, yep. And so when you look back at that survey and one of the things was communication, right there's our opportunity. As board members, you could get a greater opportunity to give information to parents. So I think that sounds like a great idea, President Grimes. Anybody else have any questions, comments,
I
concerns?
don't know about anybody else. I was here in the school system when I think we had the last one of these, and that's been 20 years ago.
That was just starting out.
And,
Yeah. And I will say this grant was no joke. You guys will see
and
this.
it's a tremendous amount of work to apply for it.
Yeah.
And this is the largest grant that I've ever heard a school system getting
Wow.
through
Yeah.
their program.
This is good.
We're-
And congratulations, ladies, on getting this together.
Thank you
We
so
had-
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had to ask 2 or 3 different state level, are you sure it's 250,000?
Dr. Combs helped us with that. Dr. Combs was like, but wait, are you sure? We needed to see it in writing, just because it's mind blowing, it's mind boggling. And, all of the goals that we all have as a board, as a superintendent, nearly $1 million over 5 years can really help get us there. So I hope that you guys are as excited as we are about it. Man, what a great opportunity. And like I said, if we build it, they will come. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Great
time.
work.
Thank you. Girls, that was wonderful.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
5-minute break? Okay. Okay, things going on. We're doing some great things here.
Oh, okay. We'll talk.
Been in plan.
Super duper. This is really good work.
I know this guy here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Sam, you sure you don't want candy? You want some now? Yes. You're probably not a grandpa, but it's good lunch. It's my favorite.
Remember. First thing, what's the jingle hill? Oh, yeah. It's out to that. That was just the main.
How you doing?
No, I'm living back here now, but, I was A little bit late, and I was here to support Mr. Ortega and his request.
Oh, sure.
But he and I were friends.
Oh, he's a super duper. He's been in there so.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. He's a good man. He's got skill. Good. That's what I, but then I got into.
He's fascinating. Really want to. It's one of the.
I just, I appreciate it.
No, I got to tell you, not all these meetings. Yeah. And so when I do that, so.
It's a state.
So this
Monday through Friday. But I think that we're ready to make this plan.
Amazing. Well, no, not a lot better. Well, it's.
I love libraries. You know, we just have Christine, but your brother. Yeah, so many. Yeah, they have. Don't worry about it. You're welcome.
Mr. Gibson? Mr. Gibson? Come have a seat, Mr. Gibson. Let's get this thing back underway. Huh? Who did? Where'd he go? I got away from Morgan.
Yeah, you get to start anyway, huh, Sam?
I know it too.
I give 5 minutes, you all try to stretch it in at the end. This work trying to work on the job where you give breaks.
Give me this, stick 'em out.
Get this thing back under control here.
Mr. Board President.
Oh,
Mr. President,
Yes.
thank you for getting us under control.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this under control, Steve.
Okay.
I gotta wait on Mr. McCombs. Ah, here he comes.
I'm usually just slow with it.
Okay, item number C on this agenda is 21st Century Community Learning Center grant presentation. We done that one. That was the one we just done. It's update spatial education progress to meeting compliance indicators.
Okay, so in looking at our special review, in our special review, we had the requirement to hire a compliance specialist. So last week we went through, that would be Miss Young, Miss Bland, and myself. We spent 5 hours going through our review. And we have, can you pass one to Ollie, please? We have developed the things that we need to monitor and how frequently we will monitor them for special education. So we have weekly tasks. You take one, please. Just one. Bi-weekly task, monthly task, and timelines to meet. These are all things that we need to.
Maybe so. Each one's supposed to get two?
Yes, please.
Okay, we're good, Kate.
So that is part of our special education progress to meet our December 3rd guideline. Within that, we developed a checklist that Miss Bland will be using as she goes around and reviews IEPs. Every IEP and every school will be checked and monitored for meeting the compliance indicator. And this is the checklist that she is using. She's already started doing 10 files at each school. And then she will turn these in. And this will be part of our documentation that we are moving forward. We're building capacity and we are building traditions that we will keep in place to ensure that our program is performing well and meeting the needs of our students. So those are two things that we've done this week. The additional thing that we have done is sent in a team that will represent us in the Strive conference, which is special education related. I have tried to diversify that team to include different people. So Mr. Anderson will be on the team. Miss Jordan will be on the team. Miss Wagner will be on the team. Miss Lewis, Crystal Lewis from Marlington Middle School will be on the team as a special education team member. And to diversify the team, often we search our elementary schools for members. I have asked Laurel Dilly from the high school, a math teacher, to serve on the Strive team so that we are starting to branch out and include secondary and elementary. The elementary schools have the literacy team and the numeracy team, but we really need to start including and building capacity at our secondary level. So those are strides that we have made this week. In terms of special education, do you have any questions about that or?
It's outstanding.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Do you want me to go ahead and do the high school updates?
Yeah.
Okay, so high school updates to let you know our progress we are making towards getting the high school off of state of emergency this week. I have the things that we accomplished for the week of September. Our goal 1, our goal 2. We are struggling slightly with the attendance taking process at the high school. I have spoken to Miss Dunlap and to Miss Hammonds. I met with the principal, Principal Campbell, and I met with our representative from the State Department, Miss Klein. We talked about getting a universal attendance taking procedure and documents to memorialize that process and establishing it for every teacher in every school in the county so that we are consistently and pervasively taking attendance the same way, and we are doing it in WEBUS, which is the platform that we need to be taking it in. So we are working through that. We have done administrative walkthroughs at the high school, created a custodial checklist, student handbooks. Miss Dunlap reviewed those, and those have gone home. We have went up, Miss Dunlap and myself and Miss Klein went and spent the entire afternoon on Monday meeting with the principal. She had missed the principal's meeting where we looked at our bubble kids. We identified skills gaps. We talked about their advisory program, restructuring that program to make it highly academic and highly effective for addressing student needs. So, and I have also met with Miss Burns and Miss Burt Kinderman about that. So we do have a solid plan in place to address our skills gaps at the high school, to address our areas that we are not making proficiency. We talked about if those of you that remember attending Larry Bell, we talked about the importance of relationships and establishing mentors, which is what Mr. Anderson referred to in our meeting, because a relationship with an adult that cares for you is not something that every student has at home. So adopting students that we know just that relationship factor and that little bit of intervention can move them over the top. We are doing that all the way through our schools. And we talked about how it's important to check and say, I noticed you weren't at school yesterday. You know, I noticed you failed your test. Do you need some extra help? Do you need to be in the after school program? So we really talked about that with Miss Campbell and what her next steps is. And we, after looking at the data, the high school has till November 1 to get their plan in place. So we feel really good about the direction of the high school. Things are moving in the right direction.
And the improvements look great. The restrooms,
Yes.
the office, I mean, it looks great. It looks really great. It looks great.
And I have gone up, except for last week, I've gone up 2 days a week, almost every week, and I've taken Mrs.
Good work.
Dunlap with me. So we are giving our school the love and attention and affection that it needs to move off a state of emergency.
Right. That's gonna pay off for us.
So any questions about that? Okay, so I have asked Miss Dunlap to give us an attendance update. Because I think that attendance is a focus of ours. When I went to the State Board of Education, I was questioned about attendance. So we have to make it a priority. And the more you talk about priorities, it's the more fluent you become and the better you are at addressing them. So Ms. Dunlap, would you give us an update, please?
So, on a focus, anybody, we're just making sure everybody's included and everybody's involved. It's communication with parents, it's communication with students, and the importance of attendance. And we, it's not that we don't do that, but I think we need to polish our plans. But our tier 2 support is targeted. That's more for our smaller group. It's our at-risk students. Typically, it's about 15% of our students that are in this area. The ones that are targeting with the unexcused, you know, if they have 3 to 5 unexcused absences, that's a red flag. That's when you start the SAT process and start calling that in. What I've asked all the principals have their own multi-tiered system of support, and they're following this guidance. And I have one of these, if you all like a copy of it. It's just the guide. It's not the exact plan. We're not ready to share it because we've got to make a few tweaks.
Right.
But the important thing is, we don't just sit there and wait for someone that says, oh, well, I'm not going to look at this student until they have 3 excused absences. They could have 15 excused absences. Somebody needs to be checking on this kid and see what's going on. It's looking universally at the whole picture is what we're doing. So in the school plans, they have their systems in place. But that's where it starts. That's where we start the SAT process, monitoring, making attendance plans. Tier 3 is much more intensive. That's when they're past that point. They're usually past that 5-day point, and that's a red flag with me. I'm not every day, but more than once a week, I'm looking at just the student absences in the students. I can sort them in a report, and I can go in and I can look, and then I'll pull up one and say, this kid's got 4 absences. Well, part of them were doctor's notes, and I do know we've had some illness in the school, and we've had him put them out, so that required more than a day or 2 out of school. So I don't get too bent out of shape because they've got the doctor's note and they've got the parent note. But I'm also communicating and saying, hey, have you checked on this kid, or have you done that? I've been in communication with all the principals to check with that. Been in contact with Ms. Cutler on a couple of students, and she's been able to assist and help with that. And Ms. Hill also talked to her about a few students. So we're building this plan to make it work. Every school's probably going to be a little different. And obviously, you know, Green Bay's a broader area than what Hillsborough and Monmouth Elementary have. And that's why I want them to have their tiered support in place. They all have their teams. They have their person of contact. For example, say I missed 2 days of school, and my mom didn't call in to say, hey, Julie's not going to be at school tomorrow. Can I pick her homework up today?
then Mr. Anderson's going, somebody on his list, now he's got it tiered out. I think he might have had Jeanette's on there, so I think he's had to regroup. And I asked him to have their first call, their second person, and then a backup to the backup person in line. And they're gonna call and reach out to my parents and say, hey, we noticed that you haven't been to school for a couple of days. Is everything okay? What's going on? Is there anything we can do to help you? Do we need to provide supports? It's that friendly reach out. It's not the old school got you truancy start. We want it to be friendly and supportive. So we're not there yet with anybody, but that's a bonus. But in that, when we get to that tier 3 and they are at that level, and it may be that we have to do a truancy conversion before they're at excused absences because they have excessive excused absences. But we need to make sure that we understand what the root cause is that's causing that absence and what we can do to support it and get it there, because present is important. Whether it, and I don't know how to redirect the, that it's okay to just miss school for vacation. But and I understand completely that sometimes it's just more economical for the family to go, that's a lot of education. Because currently we've been in school for 25 days.
Yeah.
So 10% of that's 2.5 days. That makes you chronically absent. And I've run the numbers, I look at them pretty frequently, and Mr. Anderson shared his. Our countywide percentage right now for chronically absent is 21.72%. We've had 3 stat meetings at Green Bank. The high school has 5 scheduled, and Hillsboro's had 1. Arlington Elementary and Arlington Middle have not had to have these stat meetings yet. Contacts made, Green Bank's made 93. The high school's made 150. Arlington Elementary's had 4 contacts. Arlington Middle's had 15, and Hillsboro's had 2. They were concerned about.
Do you want to explain what the contact is? Because the law's changed it to a meaningful.
Meaningful contact is not mailing a letter. The letter doesn't talk to anybody. But a phone call is communication, or maybe it's easier for that parent to communicate by email. Then we have their email address and we can communicate, and it's back and forth. It's a follow-up if they don't respond, or pick up the phone and have that conversation and leave a voice message saying, hey, please call me. We want to talk about this and make this work. So we're making it better. I think we've already seen some things that we thought, oh, this sounds great on paper, and it's not working so well. So we're still polishing a little bit, but we're in a much better direction. Everybody's got their plan, they've got their graphics. And so what we've got before we go to, before the referral report, is called a truancy diversion agreement. And that's with the support, I'm still waiting to hear back from probation on us actually having the option to have a probation officer at this meeting to just share with them the unfortunates of what happens if we have to proceed with filing a petition for truancy. But this agreement says that the student agrees to do their work and attend school. The parents there in the meeting, the parent agrees. The student's going to attend work, and they're going to support them and let us know if there are supports that they need. And it's just an agreement that they're going to come to school. It's not filing any paperwork. It's not tying up the time of the prosecutor until we have to get to that point. But it's just that we're serious about what we mean, and we don't want to have to go there. We want to support you. So we're definitely more targeted and more focused than we have been in the past. And we participated. We did say some schools. We've got everybody was able to attend the conference and all this that you all approved, and it was beneficial for them. We got textbooks that came from the conference, reference books that they can use for guides. We've got, we had the W Mountaineering team last Monday to talk to all the schools about positive benefits of attendance. And that's just one of many things that the schools are going to be working together to provide for these students and have just surprise days. You know, that, oh, well, today, for example, at Arlington Middle, I know when the Mountaineer was there, everybody he was going on the teachers were wearing blazer, or they weren't orange, they were lime green, they were wearing high-vis vests. And they were like, what's going on? And well, that was their surprise day. So the Mountaineer was there, then they all got popcorn, which is an allowable snack, by the way. But that was their surprise. That was that you're here today, you're present, this is what you get today. They're doing positive boards, announcements on positive, perfect attendance. They're doing announcements, they're doing displays. They're displaying, making a competition. Green Bank has a trophy, then the class who has the best attendance gets a trophy, and then they have to hand it off. that if somebody meets them on their attendance. So little things like that, they're trying to see what works. And I think if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, we will become complacent. And that's what we don't want. We want to keep the game stirred up and keep it curious and interesting and have the kids come in and see, well, I don't want to miss today because they might be doing something I want to do today. So that's our end goal, and that's where we're going. Everybody, they've given me their plans, they know we're serious about the contact, and I know we all get busy in Mr. Anderson can attest to this, but we still have to make the time. It doesn't take that long to stop and look at just your school. And say, okay, I've got this many kids out, what's going on today? Or, but it hit hard. I don't know if it's at your school, hand, foot, and mouth, but I think it's working its way down the county right now. So, there's nothing we can do about that illness, and it's unfortunate, but an absence is an absence. We want to make sure that we provide supports for those students to get them academically where they can need to be, and we can up our scores even more than we have this year.
I have a question too, about attendance from a special ed standpoint. Reviewing 2419 and stuff, or 2419. And part of it, one of the questions on there, when you qualify a child for special ed, is this due to lack of education? I know last year we had a couple of kids that were special ed students with IEPs that were like 46 days absent. So that's over a quarter of the year. So at that point, I don't know if you can even answer this, but at that point, does it become that, the child's delay or disability is because due to lack of education?
Well, in the multi-tiered system of support and the identification process, in that flow chart, that is a question. And students can move from skill gap to skill gap group in the intervention. And they may never move out of the intervention cycle because of their attendance. So that should be considered long before you get to the IEP and part of that process. And that's another, yeah. I actually have the chart from the state for that, and I'll share that.
Okay. Also, when she was talking about the things that schools are doing to improve, several years back, I don't remember, at Hillsborough, they had a teacher torture attendance award. If the kids were present for 5 days, they got a coupon. And I was victim to this. They got a coupon, and after 9 weeks of all the coupons, they pulled out a coupon that each class, I think each grade level had a box. So they got like a kindergartner, got pulled out for, the more days you were at school, obviously, the more chances you got. And then you got to pick whipped cream, ice water. I forget what all it was. I just remember that whipped cream smeared in my face. And then, teachers got to volunteer, will you let a child torture you? So there we sat waiting for our torture. So as they got their ticket, they got to, as their name got called, they got to let us, or pick the teacher in the way they wanted to torture us. And the kids, when they realized what was going on, oh my gosh, they were here every day because they were gonna get us.
Thank you.
Whenever I run companies, the one question I always ask is, how often did you go to school? Because it's a direct reflection on how often you'll come to work.
Yeah.
So it's important to employers, because I know it wasn't only me doing that. There was a lot of other employers that was checking records to see. Because if they're not in school, they're not gonna come to work. And in school, you get a report card. Same as money. It's same as money, because that, on jobs, the report card is how much money you make. So it's the same, there ain't much difference. So we gotta get them there. Okay. Anything else you could add there?
No, I just want to say that we are working diligently, and Mr. Gibson had my undivided attention at the beginning of the year, and Miss Dunlap has had my undivided attention, and she's I'm enduring the pressure greatly with a great attitude.
All these, any questions on these? We just went over.
No.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Number 6, consent agenda items. Approval of minutes, August 19th, 2025 to September 2nd, 2025, September 11th, 2025. Approval of the agenda. Payment of bills subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. Payment of vendor listing, $51,289.57. Payment of local government purchasing card, $16,731.17. Bank reconciliation for the month of August. Extra duty pay, September the 25th, September 2025, $36,953.89. Granted awards and budget adjustments. Do I have a motion?
To move.
Mrs. Hollingsworth made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Gibson seconded it. Any questions on any of these items?
Do we want for extra duty paid out? You
Yeah.
got the whole thing.
No, we'll just pull it out. Cause, we're voting on everything except the extra duty pay, which is line D on the consent agenda item. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Now, let's let the record show that Mr. McCombs has recused himself, and we're voting on item number D, which is extra duty pay for September 2025, $36,953.89. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Tell Mr. McCombs he can come back in the room.
You just get out.
This is, okay. Number 7 is personnel matters, and I'm going to turn that over to Ollie. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCombs made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Gibson second. Now I'll turn this over to Ollie.
Personnel agenda for October the 7th, 2025. Professional recommendations is a requested transfer of Darlene Arbogast from the CTE Business Management at Pocahontas County High School to the Special Education Multicategorical Autism at the Pocahontas County High School effective October the 1st. We then have a list of all of the positions that are currently unfilled. The bottom one of that is Director of Special Education Preschool and Student Support. Mr. Philip Anderson is being recommended for that position tonight. Service recommendations of the following is substitute aide for the Pocahontas County Schools at state basic service personnel salary for the 2025-2026 school year as needed is Jan Stanek. Employment of Michelle Wilfong as academic interventionist for Greenbank Elementary Middle School at $25 per hour, 3.5 hours per day, up to 5 days per week, not to exceed $15,000 per position. Holidays are not part of this contract. Effective date of employment is October the 8th, 2025 for the remainder of the 25-26 school year. Other recommendations is of the following substitute teachers for Pocahontas County School that state basic professional salary based on degree and experience for the 25-26 school year as needed. Patricia Plogger, Ronald Plogger, and Jay Miller. Denise Burns has requested unpaid medical leave at Marlington Elementary School effective September the 13th, 2025 for a period of up to 12 weeks. Janessa Henderson has also requested unpaid medical leave at Marlington Elementary School effective September the 29th, 2025 for a period of up to 12 weeks.
Any questions?
Did I hear you say that, Philip?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What's his?
Mr. Anderson is going to be Director of Special Education. He has.
Director of Special Education, huh?
Yes.
I do have a question about, don't we have the stay put rule that would apply to Mrs. Arbogast? I mean, I don't understand it.
No, not for this case.
She's not staying put?
No, it would be something we would need to talk about. In executive session.
Yes,
What's on the
but
agenda?
the transfer don't apply in this case.
So it's, okay.
What do you want to do?
Request,
Yeah, we probably should require it. Okay,
request an executive session to discuss personnel.
okay.
Second.
Mrs. Hollingsworth is Personnel. Well, we've never voted on personnel yet. Okay, any other questions on personnel?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Number 8 is superintendent's report, and I'm gonna let you go through it.
Okay, for item A, county approval and accreditation status, this was just presented at the last Board of Education meeting. It is number 8 in your binder. If you would like, right there.
I got it.
We are on intensive support for attendance. So that puts us on the same status, not an emergency intervention, but it is an intervention for attendance from the West Virginia Department of Education because we have not met the requirements. For special education, we are on a needs assistance for special education. In addition to that, we had one school identified as an additional target support school, an ATS school, and that would be Marlington Middle School. They have been identified based on an achievement gap. So schools identified in 2022 for low performing student subgroups have not shown adequate improvement in subgroup academic performance from 2022 to 2023. So that's our special education subgroup we are on. We are on additional support for Marlington Elementary. And the area that I identified when I was looking at it, although it's both areas, the greatest gap is occurring between the special education students that are in math and the regular education students that are in math. So if there's any questions about that, we can.
Number B is October calendar and professional learning for staff.
So one of the things that we're doing this year that, when I got here, the staff talked to me and said, we need time for collaboration. So each grade level of teachers will come up to the county office and we'll work with myself, Ms. Burns and Ms. Hammonds. And we are going to do the activities that we have done with the principals, with the teachers to build capacity in our county, to build support in our county, and to build communication frameworks, and to make sure that we are offering similar or comparable services across all of our schools. So all 3 of our elementary teachers that's in kindergarten, they'll all come. All the first grade teachers will come, all the second grade teachers, all the third grade teachers, 4th, 5th, 6th through 12th science and math will be together, 6th through 12th. Social studies will be together. Ms. Shiflett will work with CTE and related arts because it's important to keep up the momentum that we started at the beginning of the year and to connect with those teachers. So we're really excited about working with them and the opportunities that we're going to have to work together as a team and grow stronger.
Especially.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So next I'll just go ahead and move, unless there's any questions about the collaboration. I'm going to move on to the certified list and certified enrollment. So on our certified list, we have been funded for 101.85 professionals. We have 149 professionals on staff. So we will get funding for slightly more than 1 staff members. For service,
Hold on. Read that again.
we have been funded for 101.85
102.
and
Okay.
we have 100.49.
Okay, 100.49.
Yes.
Woo!
Well, that's good. Is this good?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead now.
So for service personnel, we have 79 service personnel that we have on staff. We are funded for 77.7. So we are over 1.3 service personnel. We have 833 students. We are not getting funded for 5 students. 3 of the students that we are not getting funded for have enrolled and they are not in state. So we have to really start looking at that and not enrolling out-of-state students. We have one student that enrolled and they did not meet the age requirement as well. So we have 5 students in our system that we are paying to educate those students, and we did not receive funding for them this year. But our total enrollment is 833. And I believe last year, Ms. Hammonds, we had 893. And we're down about 60 students.
So last year we were at 893.
And this year we are at 833.
It's at 60.
But I think we are just not getting funded for 20, we're getting funded for 28 less students. Now, I would like to insert this caveat to the board. We are funded at 1,400 enrollments. So just keeping up with our enrollment is what we're doing, but in the legislative branch, we are funded at 1,400 students for all of our things. So we are not in a bad place. We're actually in an excellent place. So I'm going to go to general updates, and I just wanted to show you the final graphic of the floor. Ms. Hammonds, if you have that pulled up. I was over and looked at the floor today. It's very beautiful. So we decided to make that black line solid. So that's what the center graphic will look like in our gym floor. The hatches will be slightly outside of the graphic. We have the 3 feather colors to represent the 3 former middle schools. You want to pull the whole floor up? And then maybe blow it up a little bit. This is our actual gym floor. It is positively gorgeous. We changed the font on the arrows to match the Warrior font in the center, and we made sure Warrior was contained within the center court circle. So it's underway. It's looking fabulous.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Good job. Okay, it's something that it's dear to my heart. And I want to bring it up because I think it's a thing, when we have a new floor we haven't even got yet. The past 2 or 3 years, there's been a fundraising in the county that's this donkey basketball thing.
Oh,
Okay?
not on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
I'd like to make, some kind of a declaration that we won't do donkey basketball on the brand new gym floor. I mean, is that something we can
yeah,
do?
we're not, maybe we're not.
We gotta pass that when it
Yeah.
comes to us.
Yeah, okay, so I mean.
We just won't pass
Can
it.
we make that, can we agree on that?
But,
If it comes before us, you will get to vote on it.
yeah, the superintendent can shut that down before it ever gets
If
done.
I
Alright.
put it on the agenda.
Thank you, you know what I mean? Because
But it is gorgeous. If you haven't
It
had
is.
an opportunity to stop by there, please do. It's very beautiful. They haven't put the top coat on yet, but it's looking great.
Any other dates?
Let me see. I did meet with the Faculty Senate President and Educate West Virginia. We did have some staff questions on our vector trainings. They're taking their 3 hours and 51 minutes to complete the first batch of required trainings. So what I have told staff that I would do is December the 22nd, half of that day is for staff development. So if they complete their vector training, submit their certificates, then we can let all the folks that did that have some compensation and get off early the day before Christmas. Another thing that was a source of interest was lesson plans. I have sought some information from the West Virginia Department of Education and provided that to the staff as well. So feel like everything's going well with our teachers and with our staff. There's communications. I've been in every school since our last board meeting at least once. So it's going well. Things are looking great out in our schools.
Number 10 is new business. Do I have a motion? Mr. McCollum made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Hollingsworth seconded. It's approval of 6 students and 1 homeschooled student to complete observation hours for the Grow Your Own College program at Martington Elementary School, Martington Middle School, Greenbank Elementary Middle School, and Pocahontas County High School during the 25-26 school year. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item, and under new business, you're gonna move down to B, and you all can look down through that. I'm not gonna read all of it. If you would like to read it. Do you have any questions on any, well, I guess we need a motion on B right there, don't we? So Mr. McCombs made a motion. Have a second.
Second.
Dr. Hollingsworth seconded. Does anybody have any questions on B through O?
Sure.
Have we read the proposals? Anybody got a question?
Sure.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So if I read this right, A gives Christie and Stephanie what they wanted.
Correct.
Positions.
Yes, yes. Yes, it does. Promotion to post teacher coordinator and grant awards for the 21st century grant. Any other questions on these? I mean, we voted on it, but anybody got any questions? We can still go over.
Well, we do have your, permission to start the search for security officer.
We do?
I've got that on here.
Well, I didn't see that, but
EMS.
you are making me feel better every minute.
Okay, so is that, do I have your permission to start that search?
Yes.
Okay,
All of
no,
it.
we'll do that.
Well, we'll give it right to you right here whenever we
Okay,
voted on it. And
Give you all that permission.
we give you the permission.
I
Yeah,
know.
don't
Thank you.
ask me more questions. Take what you got. I am tickled to death that we're gonna get an officer at Pocahontas County High School. I am tickled that, I've always worried about that. When Morgan was there, I didn't feel so bad about it because I felt he could stand up and take on whatever. But you know, after that point,
All right, then I will start that process.
please do. Mr. Gibson. Any questions? Any answers or anything you want to bring up?
Everything's great in my world, school. I've been to most of the schools too, and their grounds look great. The grass is cut. Teachers are happy, kids are happy. And I think it's great. I think it's great.
Mr. McCombs?
Echo what Sam said, things are really looking up and moving in a positive direction.
Dr. Hollingsworth?
Everything has been looking good. Sounds like we have a vacancy for an elementary principal.
It does, it does. Actually, I did speak with Mr. Anderson. He is going to stay there for a little bit till we get a person for him to transition in and get them acclimated. But we will start the search on Thursday.
I just want to say, whenever we vote on a whole page of stuff and you don't get but one question, you're doing your job. So, you know, you've done it, and we have a lot of faith in you. So,
Thank
not just you, but, you know, Mrs. Dunlap, you know, I keep wanting to say Shiflett, but Mrs. Dunlap, Mrs. Hamilton and Ollie, we got a lot of pride in you all in the job you're doing. Next, adjournment, the next Board of Education meeting will be October the 21st, 2025. We are adjourned.